It's not like my brother out there that he's.
Trying to get it away from the piano. The piano's so loud, it blows out in there.
You can probably get a paper and you can stack on one thing. Stack on one. Yeah. It's got enough. I'm trying to get away from this. It's the only one.
You'll see this one in gallery. Control like me, so we can move it right up. Is this on? Sounds good, thank you.
Yeah, this, most of mine is just, most of my ones are shooting.
I am going to get some water too. I have been
Good morning, everybody. We begin our service today with a gathering hymn. Please rise and body your spirit as we sing number 1000 in the Teal Handbook. Morning has come.
This one is familiar, it has its own intro built in, it's hard to play, but it's not hard to sing, we'll do it fine, it's gonna be good. Greg's gonna play the drums with it too, I think it's on beat. All right, Greg. Next up.
Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Oxford. I'm Ellie McClellan, the co-chair of membership team and your worship associate today. Honored and pleased to be, nope, that's there. Whether you are a longtime member or a first-time visitor, you are welcome here. You are invited to be present with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands to help. In this congregation, we uphold our Unitarian Universalist values and principles. We come together today to acknowledge our interdependence, honor the spirit of generosity, work for justice and equity, and explore the possibilities of transformation. It is good to be together in this pluralistic community, this congregation that centers love in all we do. All right, today we have some announcements to share. Most are printed in your order of service if you'd like to check that out. But we're going to draw attention to a couple of them. We have at Square Books, Susie Adams will launch her book at Off Square Books on September 1st at 5:30. She will be in conversation with Meredith Wolf, librarian extraordinaire. So check that out. We also have Fed Up Fridays, where they gather every week. And if you want to learn more about that, you can talk to Sue. We have an announcement from Gail on Saturday, August 29th. There's a clothing giveaway for kids who need clothes. Sign up and help Friday, set up from 4 to 6 or Saturday from 9 to 12. Information's on the clipboard at the altar table, and it's organized by Faith Planners, which is an organization that Carmen and Jose are part of, and they do some really good work in the community. And as a reminder, grief, gratitude, and growth slips are available from the greeter. And if you have a moment you'd like to share, please write them down and drop your slip in the collection basket during the offering so they can be read aloud later in the service. Now let me introduce our minister, Reverend Sarah Osborne.
Thank you, Ellie. Greetings, beloveds. I'm glad to see you. Today's service is called Wild and Precious. In trying and uncertain moments, one of the most important things we can do is ground ourselves in beauty and nature so that we can continue in the long haul marathon of living a just life. Mary Oliver famously asks, "What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" So let us pause for this hour to consider this question, and let us reflect upon the beauty of her poetry and others, and how attention, kindness, and humility made evident within the natural world can guide us through our days. And also, just a note, Mary Oliver has a new documentary coming out on PBS on Tuesday, hence the timing of this service. So let us be here now, let us settle in, breathe in some peace, and let out love. Let us begin our time together by naming that which we find worthy of our consideration with this call to worship by Erica Hewitt. As we enter into worship, put away the pressures of the world that ask us to perform, to take up masks, to put on brave fronts. Silence the voices that ask you to be perfect. This is a community of compassion and welcoming. You do not have to be anything to earn the love contained within these walls. You do not have to be braver, smarter, stronger, better than you are in this moment to belong here with all of us, you, me, all of us. You only have to bring the gift of your body, no matter how able. Your seeking mind, no matter how busy, your animal heart, no matter how broken. Bring all that you are and all that you love to this hour together. Bring all that you are, all that you love, and share in a moment of kindness and graciousness with the beloveds around you. Let's welcome and strengthen the bonds of belonging by offering one another a gesture of holy hospitality. You are invited to extend a hand in peace, offer a hug, or perhaps simply a word of welcome or utter a greeting of namaste. As a practice of consent, if you would prefer not to engage in this ritual, simply place a hand over your heart and folks around you will honor your choice. And now, if you would please turn to your neighbor to your left or your right and briefly greet them. Y'all are excited today. And now with our hearts centered in love, let us light the sacred symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, our flaming chalice, with these words from Mary Oliver in the summer day. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. For the good questions the poet offers that inspires our days and our own wonderings, we give thanks by lighting this chalice. Thank you, Ellie. And if you would join me in a celebration hymn number 16 in the gray hymnal, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple." Please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
Yeah. I think everybody knows this, right? It's a gift to be simple. I'm pretty sure it's such a. So I'm going to do the last two bars.
That was a bit of a tongue twister, wasn't it? Yeah, please be seated.
Did it as a row around.
Yes, we caught on. Well, now I have time for all ages, a wondering. This one I've entitled Charlotte Takes a Walk. Long ago, about 20 years ago, there was a mama who was curious about the way the world worked and how children learned to live in it. What role did mama and child play in navigating this world? What values and knowledge were most important to impart? And as the mama sought a path of education for her children, she came along some radical ideas from a person called Charlotte Mason. Charlotte said, "Children are born persons." Imagine that. "Of equal dignity to adults." Imagine that. And education is a practice and a way of life. The mama saw that experiential learning could be most valuable by observing and interacting with nature and engaging and listening to and telling stories, and by witnessing other people's passions, one could then be inspired to follow their own. And this way is one that cultivates curiosity while engaging in practices that strengthen one's sense of meaning and purpose. One of Charlotte's best ideas was the nature walk. She encouraged folks to a weekly practice of just going out into nature to make observations. No lesson, no agenda, no plans, just simply be, watch, absorb. The magic of this moment was really twofold. The children were learning to be observant, but also this practice restored their hearts with the peace of realizing their interconnection to all things. The nature walk was both an adventure and a homecoming. And the mama and her children have taken many, many, many nature walks over the years. Have you ever gone on a nature walk like Charlotte's? What are some of the things that you have noticed when you do? The mama in our story was delighted that her children's curiosity was encouraged, and she was even more thrilled to discover that the way of living aligned with her values as a Unitarian Universalist. The mama discovered that there were even more amazing people who also appreciated and learned from their connections to nature. One of our UU ancestors, Henry David Thoreau, spent a grand time at Walden Pond learning about simplicity, spirit, and the wonders of nature. And Tracy L. Hurd, one of our UU authors, writes about Henry. All his life, he loved nature. It was almost as if he had a small, still voice inside him that whispered, "Go outside. Be amidst the trees and lakes and grass. This is your true home." And Henry listened to that voice all of his life. Henry was part of a group of people called transcendentalists who believed that appreciating the beauty of nature is a way of feeling close to the spirit of life, or as some people call God. Henry's friend, Ralph Waldo Emerson, told him, "You should keep a journal about all the things you notice in nature." And so he did. And this is an idea that Charlotte Mason encouraged too. Keeping a journal, the things she noticed, the things we notice. Later, Henry wrote a book about his experience in nature and had this to say: "I learned this, at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors, to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected. I think wise people who encourage us to spend time in nature have figured out something important about how we make meaning in the world and how nature is not only a fun, but nurturing place for us all. Maybe when it's not so hot. Most of our service today is dedicated to the writings of the poet Mary Oliver, but I want to share one piece from another poet, David White. Are y'all familiar with David White? He's an Irish poet who also marvels and finds peace in his nature walks. And he often recites this poem that he wrote. He does a lot of walking around the globe, and we're going to play it for you here. If we can wake up my computer and hope the technology works. If you want to watch the video or just close your eyes and listen to his voice, hopefully that will work. Just swipe up.
It's where you need to be. Half a step into self-forgetting, and the rest restored by what you need. There's a road, always beckoning. There's a road, always beckoning. When you see the two sides of it closing together at that far horizon, and deep in the foundations of your own heart, at exactly the same time, that's how you know it's the road you'll have to follow. That's how you know it's where you have to go. That's how you know you have to go. It's just beyond yourself. It's where you need to be. There's a road, always beckoning. When you see the two sides of it closing together at that far horizon, and deep in the foundations of your own heart, at exactly the same time, that's how you know it's the road you'll have to follow. That's how you know it's where you have to go. That's how you know you have to go. It's just beyond yourself. It's where you need to be.
You could just probably close it. So in the tradition of one of our religious exploration programs, Spirit Play, stories are always ended with some questionings, and they are these. Where might you find yourself in this story? Which part did you like best? Which is most important? As you go about your days, as you follow the road, consider these things, and may they bring you peace.
All right, now we have a piece from Anne Frank titled Starting to Improve the World. Anne Frank, the 15-year-old confined in terrifying isolation in an attic, prophetically wrote, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Now is the moment to do our part to improve the world. Supporting our partner organization and the mission of this congregation is one action we take each week at UUCO. Our Sunday collection is always split, with half going to our monthly Share the Plate designee and half going to support the mission of UUCO. Our Share the Plate recipient this month is Love Packs, which provides supplemental food for school-age children in need on weekends and holidays. The nonprofit service has expanded to the 11 schools within the Lafayette School District and the Oxford School District. Also, please remember to drop any notes of grief, gratitude, growth, joys, and sorrows in the offering basket as they go around. Our morning offering will be graciously received.
By the work of our hands and the work of our hearts, our love. As we acknowledge our gifts, may we be grateful for all that is given and grateful for all that is shared. And now let us enter into the ritual like the one before us, one that asks us to be vulnerable in our expression and gracious in our witness, so that we may share what is on our hearts and lay it at the altar of community and spirit. Using a pebble dropped into a bowl of water to symbolize the ripple effects of our lives upon the larger community, we will now share the grief, gratitude, and moments of growth that have touched our lives since we were last together. Our first pebble is one of gratitude and joy for our visitors and friends, and we offer you a warm welcome. We are delighted that you are here. We offer a second pebble, one for grief, for all of those that are without power in Memphis and in Gary, Indiana, people who are going to be without for days, who have been without power for more than days. May they be restored, and may we figure out infrastructure that supports our power grids. And now we have one from Doug Robinson, wishing Svetlana and Agnes a safe drive to Atlanta today, a safe flight for Agnes to London Wednesday, and a safe drive back for Svetlana on Thursday. And thus the adventure begins. And finally, we drop a pebble into the water for all the grief, gratitude, and moments of growth that remain in the sanctuary of our hearts. These joys and sorrows, too, are held in this community of care and by a love that is limitless. Amen. And would you join me in a seated singing meditation of hymn 1009 in the Teal hymnal? This is meditation on breathing. Tycho?
There's three parts. There's three lines. And I'll give an example of what they're going to be like. The first line is. I guess you can choose which one you want to sing. If you got a deeper voice, try to breathe in, breathe out, and then, all right.
The breathe in, breathe out part will be the easiest one to hold. So you just go, breathe in, breathe out, you're good.
Yeah. It's going to be an experiment. I think it'll work. I'm going to play it through once all the way, and then I just pick whichever line you want to sing, and we'll go through maybe 4 times. Okay, here we go.
Now we have a reading. Attention is the beginning of devotion. Excerpt by Kathleen Fisher. The woman in line ahead of me appeared to have come to the reading alone that October night. She looked serious and self-contained, elsewhere perhaps in her thoughts. I remember her as slightly hunched over, unremarkable in her dress and demeanor, easily overlooked. She spoke to no one. When she looked up and noticed that the line had moved, she shuffled forward and returned her gaze to the floor, the body advancing and the mind retreating with every few steps. When her turn came, she stepped up to the table and bent forward to say something to the poet, who was barely visible among the stack of books. And then the poet put down her pen and leaned forward, taking the woman's hands, looking intently as she spoke. I stepped back, fearing I might overhear or intrude on this private moment. The woman spoke and the poet listened for what seemed a long time compared to the usual exchange over an autograph. As she moved away from the table, the woman appeared lighter, softer, as if a burden had been lifted. I have no idea what passed between them, but it was clear that the woman had been heard. It was a moment of exquisite, unforgettable kindness. I was so absorbed by their encounter that I cannot remember what happened when the poet turned to me. I imagine that I stammered earnest gratitude as I presented my book. I know that she smiled, then signed her name beneath the poem I had chosen, for now every time I read This Summer Day, I see in a beautiful script in fine point blue ink, Mary Oliver. When I recall her kindness to the woman ahead of me in line, I hear the closing words of her essay upstream. Attention is the beginning of devotion. Watching the stranger with Oliver, I wondered if she carried a wearying sorrow. Perhaps she had come to share her own salvation story, to tell of poems that honor her heart. As the woman spoke, Oliver grasped her hands, looked into her face, and received her words with a kindly intensity. She attended to her warmly and generously, undistracted by the many people still waiting in line. Real attention, says Oliver, needs empathy. Attention without feeling is just a report.
And now we will share in Mary Oliver's words in our gray hymnal number 490. We will do a community reading. It's a responsive reading, but it's short. So I would invite us to all together read all of the lines. This is her famous poem, Wild Geese, number 490. All right, here we go. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Your place in the family of things. Do you think about this as often as I do? Do you consider how and where you fit? And how loneliness can show up even in a crowd of people? Some of us struggle to be seen or heard or understood. As the great poet Jim Morrison once said, people are strange. Oliver's wondering about the family of things reminds me why we come here, so that we can ponder together to make meaning, not only of our interconnection to nature and each other, but to question and perhaps to correct our disconnection to life when that happens. Nature seems like an easier thing to navigate than people. Perhaps it is because nature is what it is, wild and precious. It does not pretend or make nice. There's no confusion over priorities, no hurt feelings among the trees, I think. Though they do whisper to me and cheer me on, as my favorite verse from Isaiah 55:12 reminds us, you will go out in joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and hills will burst into song before you, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Can you imagine out there amongst the trees and the leaves are waving and it's like, shh. Even the Bible can't deny the glory of the flora and its connection to our hearts and our souls. It's like really the only Bible verse that I really, really like. There's very few of those, but that's a good one, y'all. Perhaps Mary Oliver and David White and Thoreau and so many others turn to their observations of nature when nothing else makes sense in the world. It's hard out there, y'all, in the real world. It doesn't feel safe in our current culture and communities, especially for our immigrant families, LGBTQ folks or BIPOC beloveds, and folks are burnt out, overworked, overstimulated, tired, and maybe bored. And some folks find themselves in comfort, joy, good humor, and love. And if you are one of the latter, I encourage you to share generously of your good fortune, your fortitude, and wisdom for how you arrive at such a state. In our first reading, we learned that Oliver is gifted with more than words. She demonstrates a sincere talent for attention and kindness. And I imagine this was cultivated through her practice of observing nature and figuring her place in the family of things. 2 weeks ago, UUCO named one of our yearly goals to foster the healthy development of our congregation by finding ways to help us collectively thrive so that folks feel connected and cared for in this community. And I suggest that we turn to our Unitarian Universalist theology to guide this goal, which calls us to be in service to others, to each other, because we believe in the inherent dignity and worth of every person, to which we are bound in an interconnected web of mutuality. Attention and kindness are the first elegant steps toward this mission. And perhaps while we're at it, let us cultivate curiosity and passion, like we heard about earlier in our service when the mama sought to educate her children in the way of Charlotte Mason. The multi-talented 12th century Christian mystic, Hildegard of Bingen, y'all know Hildegard, fabulous. Look her up. She is like unbelievable character of history. She's also known as the nun who loved the earth, who wrote, "We shall awaken from our dullness and rise vigorously towards justice. If we fall in love with creation deeper and deeper, we will respond to its endangerment with passion." I'm gonna read that again. "We shall awaken from our dullness and rise vigorously towards justice. If we fall in love with creation deeper and deeper, we will respond to its endangerment with passion." Oh, what prophecy from the 12th century. And also how tragic that it's still so relevant. Hildegard offers these connector pieces for how we shall arrive at the care and keeping of our people and our planet. It's love, friends. If we fall in love with creation, we will be compelled to take action, to care for it and us. Perhaps the greatest gift we receive from Mary Oliver by way of her noticing and attention to ordinary things with such passionate wonder is the playbook for us to follow, to slow down, to allow ourselves to fall in love with the people and the world around us, to put aside temporarily the rush and anxiety and fear that keeps us frozen, isolated, fractured, apathetic, or worse, angry and violent ourselves. While we put the pause button on these things, or perhaps even allow ourselves to move through these feelings, letting them pass through our noticing, as the Buddhist way suggests, noticing, and letting them flow through us, that we make space for attending to what matters most. And while we are making this space for what matters most, let us also consider the possibilities that are available to us, the potential for doing things in new and generative ways. Albert Einstein once said, "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it." Can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, y'all. We must, as Bingen urged us, rise to a level of relationship with creativity, driving us towards a wholeness that has seemed to be out of reach, always on the horizon where the road meets. We may be dismayed that we can't make social, political, cultural, or spiritual changes the way we want. We may not be able to influence the speed or the urgency at which we improve the lot of our lives and the justice that we wish to see in the world. And I hear this, and I'm frustrated by it equally, and I don't make light of it. Tending to the garden of our lives, we must strive to focus on a both and mission, to acknowledge our anxieties and foster our peace, to care for our sense of belonging to each other, and to be of service to others beyond our own communities. We just might not be able to do all things at all times. As much as I like to pretend that I can, there is a limit. And we're no good to anyone if we burn ourselves out. If we become little nubs, the flames burned all the way out. We might not be able to do all the things at the same time. And that is the beauty of a community like UUCO. When you need to tend to your spirit, there's another beloved nearby that can hopefully be able and willing to step forward to doing the community care or caring for you when you need it. It's going to take all of us to make it. And that seems like a hard time when there's so much and we all need so much. But maybe if we just share it together, we all just take a little piece, we can get there. We must be willing to ask an elegant question, one that author Sarah Wilson asks in her book, One Wild and Precious Life. Are we finally ready to do this differently? To imagine, create, and become beyond the system that is destroying us? Is it possible to have like one foot off the hamster wheel, maybe? Can we jump together? Maybe if we all hold hands, it won't be so scary, or maybe we'll all land together supporting each other. What we are longing for is connection, right? Wilson shares this 1930s Vedic poem by Pundit Acharya. Come, hold my hand, and we shall run away from the intelligence of man. His intellect is a petrified lie. We shall go back to life. Come, hold my hand. It's an invitation to connect our lives beyond reason, to find the holy, the namaste that dwells within each of us. And this is how we must and can go forward. This is the way. Sarah Wilson offers several small, everyday acts that add up to life led by kindness and attention. Here's a couple of them. Ask an adversary for help. What? Sometimes a little flattery and connection can break barriers and help us find mutual understanding and fellowship. Have you ever asked a grumpy stranger for directions and see their whole disposition change? That's tricky, right? The adversary. Because sometimes of people that we see as our adversaries, our values do not align at all. And so part of our meaning making here, part of the struggle, the discomfort, is how do we navigate that? How do we get people to come together when we have such different values? How do we hold a boundary of love and invite them into a better way? I don't know if that's an impossible task or not. And it may not change them, but it might just change you. Here's the next one. Ask yourself, do you want to be right or to love? This is a lesson 12-year-old Sarah needed to learn when she told off the nuns in her Catholic school. I was right, by the way. It is infinitely more beautiful and courageous to love rather than be focused on the polarity of right and wrong. And whoa, is this hard for us justice-seeking UUs who we're really clear on what's right. And even those of us in beloved community can make mistakes. And what really gets in the way sometimes of right and wrong is forgetting our humanity, forgetting the complexity of the human experience, forgetting that we're all just people trying to make our way. And yeah, do we make mistakes? Do we screw up? Do we make errors? Sometimes people are malicious, but sometimes they're not. We can't have the same broad stroke for it all. And what does it look like? Not to say, are you right or you're wrong, but how are you going to love somebody into being? What would that look like? Not dismissing healthy boundaries or justice, simply asking us to consider this framing of how would love approach our relating as humans. That's the one I'm going to invite you all to go home and ponder. Maybe if you take a nature walk, observe the things and think to yourself, how would love approach our relating as humans? You'll see in the order of service, I like to put little quotes. Sometimes they have something to do with the service. Sometimes I just like it and it's tangentially related. But at the bottom, I put the attributed to Rumi quote, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. How can we possibly find wholeness, healing, justice, equity, all the things, if we continuously push a divide? Isolation, divides, keeping separate, silos, those don't help everybody. They only work for the few who are in power. We have to be smarter and savvier, more generative, more creative, and more loving to say, you know what, we're not even going to play that board game. And the last one, ask of others, how is your heart? Or how is your heart in this breath, in this moment? Such a more elegant question than how are you? We say that to people all the time, and we're not even really listening, right? Like I go to the grocery store and the checker's like, how are you? And I'm like, well, do you really want to know? Not fine, Susie, not fine at all. The world is on fire and there's not enough checkers here. AI is taking over the planet and my water's being taken up. And now there's no power in Memphis because the data centers are taking it all from the power grid. And let's not forget the noise level. Oh my goodness, forget nature. It's all going to be corrupted by these things. So no, I'm not fine. But if somebody asks me, how is your heart in this breath, in this moment? I'm great. My heart is really good, despite all of that. So we should be asking, I don't know why I got teary by that, but we should be asking all the time of everyone we meet, how is it with your heart? That's going to change everything. And interestingly enough, the how is your heart in this breath, that is a translation from the Arabic. I couldn't read it, so I didn't try to read it out loud. But that nuanced piece in this breath, in this moment. Yeah. Ongoing self and community reflection and care is essential. Noticing, observing, attention, kindness, love. This is how we're going to thrive. And the great poets, they're all telling us this, right? Like, it's not just like, oh, let's go walk in nature. Let's look at the geese and like the trees and the road. They're pointing the way to something greater. And this is how we get good so that we can do good. How is the state of your heart in this breath? May our curiosity about nature, each other, and the world help us connect and love our way to wholeness. And may it be so. And now I offer a moment of prayer and silence. Mariah Helgeson reminds us the poems of Mary Oliver are prayers that anyone can pray. They are spacious and simple, expansive and ordinary. They don't require us to believe in anything in particular, but they do ask us to pay attention to that fleeting and particular space of a moment. So let us pray. If you feel like a soft gaze or close your eyes, let us meditate upon this exquisite, prayerful poetry. I happen to be standing by Mary Oliver. I don't know where prayers go or what they do. Do cats pray while they sleep, half asleep in the sun? Does the opossum pray as it crosses the street? I hope so. The sunflowers, the old black oak growing older every year. I know I can walk through the world along the shore or under the trees with my mind filled with things of little importance, in full self-attendance, a condition I can't really call being alive. Is a prayer a gift or a petition, or does it matter? The sunflowers blaze, maybe that's their way. Maybe the cats are sound asleep, maybe not. While I was thinking this, I happened to be standing just outside my door with my notebook open, which is the way I begin every morning. Then a wren in the privet began to sing. He was positively drenched in enthusiasm. I don't know why, and yet why not? I wouldn't persuade you from whatever you believe or whatever you don't. That's your business. But I thought of the wrens singing. What could this be if it isn't a prayer? So I just listened, my pen in the air. Let us pause for a moment of silence. Amen. And we will release the child's flame with a final poem from Mary Oliver, When I Am Among the Trees. And we will allow you in this moment to hear it from her own voice.
When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, stay a while. The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say, and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine.
May we go forth into the light to shine and be the light. May it be so, and blessed be. And our closing hymn is in the gray hymnal number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. Please rise in body or spirit, number 21.
You know, this is quite well, so the last 2 bars is easy.
As we come to the end of our service, please join me in reciting our congregational blessing printed in your order of service. Go in peace, believe in peace, create peace, be peace.
Oh, yeah.